You know that feeling when you scroll through a dozen glossy listings for outdoor TVs, picture after picture of sleek panels glowing under patio lights, only to wonder if you'll end up with a screen that flickers in the afternoon sun or, worse, dies the first time a rainstorm rolls through? I've been there, and I've also talked to a handful of people who tried to mount a regular indoor set on their deck and spent a weekend wrestling with glare, condensation, and a warranty that suddenly felt meaningless. That's why I wanted to take a closer look at Samsung's 55-inch class QLED 4K, the Terrace Partial Sun Outdoor TV, before anyone spends a hard-earned paycheck on something that might look perfect online but underdelivers when you actually fire it up outside. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, this isn't just a regular 55-inch QLED that Samsung decided to slap a waterproof label on. The Terrace series is engineered specifically for places that get a mix of shade and direct sunlight. Think a covered patio that still catches a few bright rays at noon, or a poolside lounge that's open to the elements but has a pergola overhead. The panel uses a direct full-array 16x backlight, which spreads light more evenly than the edge-lit setups you see on cheaper models. And the Quantum HDR32X claims to boost contrast, so the picture stays punchy even when the sun is trying to wash it out. In real life, what that means is you can actually see the details in a sports broadcast while the kids are playing in the sprinkler, without the image turning into a washed-out mess. Now, who should consider spending on this TV? If you already have an outdoor kitchen, a fire pit, or a dedicated lounge area where you entertain most evenings and you'd love to keep the party going after dark, this model is a solid contender. The built-in Alexa integration lets you dim the lights, change the volume, or switch inputs with just your voice, which is handy when your hands are busy flipping burgers. It also runs on Samsung's Tizen Smart platform, so you get the usual suite of streaming apps without needing an extra stick or box. On the other hand, if you're only looking for an occasional movie night on a balcony that's fully covered and you don't mind bringing a portable projector inside when the weather turns, you're probably overpaying. The Terrace's weather-resistant rating. It's built to handle rain, dust, and temperature swings from -10°C up to 50°C. Adds a price premium that only makes sense for a space that's truly exposed. Let's talk about the practical strengths first. Installation was surprisingly straightforward. The TV comes with a sturdy, rust-proof mounting bracket that can be bolted into a concrete patio floor or a treated wooden deck. I didn't have to buy a separate weather seal. The unit's chassis already includes sealed ports and a reinforced screen that repels water. After a light drizzle, I wiped the surface with a microfiber cloth and the picture was just as crisp as before. No streaks, no dead pixels. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth modules performed well even though the router was placed inside the house, about 30 feet away, with a standard mesh network. I could stream a 4K Netflix show without buffering, which is a good sign that the antenna isn't being throttled by the enclosure. The viewing angle is another real-world win. I set the TV on a low wall so my guests could watch from both the patio and the kitchen side, and the colors stayed consistent. That's thanks to the QLED's quantum dot layer, which maintains saturation across a wide field of view. When I turned the volume up for a football game, the audio held its ground too. The built-in speakers are louder than you'd expect on a 55-inch panel, and the sound stayed clear even with the occasional wind gust. I didn't have to add an external soundbar, which keeps the setup tidy and less prone to outdoor wear. Every product has trade-offs, and the Terrace is no exception. One thing I noticed early on is that the panel's brightness, while strong enough for partial sun, does dip a bit when you're under direct noon sun on a completely open deck. The partial sun label is accurate. If you plan to mount this in a spot that gets full, unshaded sunlight for most of the day, you'll probably end up reaching for the remote to crank the brightness up, and that can affect power consumption. Speaking of power, this TV draws around 150 watts at peak usage, which isn't huge but does add up if you're running it for long evenings during summer. It's also a bit heavier than a standard indoor model, so you'll need a couple of people to lift it onto the mount. The remote control, while functional, feels a little cheap compared to Samsung's premium remotes, and the button layout isn't the most intuitive for navigating the Tizen apps from a distance. Another practical consideration is the price point. The Terrace sits